that in a political environment where extra self-care is highly recommended, right? I think we should just all start, let's just all just take one breath together, right? Everyone just inhale, right? Just let that out, right? I know I do that. I'll be real, it's difficult for me to believe that making the rich richer and the poor poorer will create more opportunity for working people. Maybe I have to see it to believe it, right? But I have seen something else. When communities choose care over cruelty, when we center dignity instead of stigma, people rise. Are there any leaders here with us today? Any leaders in here? One, two. Can I get a show of hands? Where are all the leaders at? All right. We need you. You know, it's time to come out of hiding, right? We need leaders to guide. I've learned how powerful our thoughts are, right? Negative thoughts expand. Positive thoughts also expand. That's why affirmations really work. It's as simple as programming yourself. I challenge you to write down 3 affirmations every day before you go to work. Give it a little time and you'll notice real changes. And I salute your happiness. And I want everyone here to leave here today with 500 gifts of positivity that I am gifting each and every one of you today. For the next couple of days, I just want to all agree to ghost any kind of negativity. We have a saying at the radio station I DJ on Sundays to take it to the ocean, right? Just take it to the ocean. A show of hands, how many of are here in this beautiful capital in Sacramento because you genuinely want to do your part to help? Right? And how many truly want to make a difference? Right? So, give yourself a pat on the back because for your effort and willingness, just to do this work. It is your heart, your compassion, and your care that will make the biggest impact. Let's not just take care today, let's give care today. Let us show care, ignite sparks of hope, and plant fruitful seeds so that we may reap what we sow and that our efforts can be seen. Another show of hands. Has anyone here ever experienced being unhoused? Okay. Has anyone spent time in those fancy bed and breakfasts with the fancy concrete floors, the best the county has to offer, institutions, jails, prisons, penitentiary? Okay. If you never raise your hand, it's okay. You're not missing much. My hand stays raised because I carried these lived experiences, right? I am an addict in recovery. I am a convicted felon. Since childhood, I've wrestled with nearly every ADHD symptom, never formally diagnosed, but very real. And I'm also a loving father, a brother, a son, an advocate, a humanitarian, artist, musician, and a leader in my community. I've kept a steady practice of introspection through my struggles and triumphs in the kind of wisdom you only get by living it. It is nothing short of a miracle that I'm standing here today. When you hit rock bottom and lose everything and you're down and people keep kicking you while you're down, demonizing you, when you are labeled, stereotyped, stigmatized, when hope turns into disappointment again and again, it's easy to throw in the towel. Many of our unhoused neighbors feel exactly that, but I refuse to give up hope on them and on us. Every life matters. We must stop trying to love people to death and start loving people to life. I believe everything happens for a reason. That belief was tested when a government agency took my 3-month-old son after I called law enforcement for a civil standby. In the best interest of my son and to prevent any type of domestic situation, as a loving and caring father that prides himself in being a great father, I never would have thought in a million years being accused of being abusive or neglecting my child in any way, especially in any way that would justify them taking it from me. But just like that, my successful prevention of a domestic situation led to another agency determining that they have concerns over the possibility of ongoing domestic violence, which falls under general neglect, and that is all they need. So I witnessed how quickly a system can misread, how easily a social worker can be wrong, how hearings can move without genuine due process, how fast a parent can be voiceless. We also have to face this truth. Roughly 90% of child removals are from general neglect, a category so broad that a single argument can be stretched into imminent danger. Nobody is safe when the wolves guard the sheep. And I am not the only one with a story like this. Close to half of our unhoused neighbors have had involvement with the foster system. When institutions become revolving doors, streets become waiting rooms. That is not safety, that is policy failure. So it is a blessing to stand here with you today, leaders, advocates, healers, and dreamers, united in a struggle that is not only political, but profoundly moral. We're here to talk about behavioral health and housing, yes, but more than that. We are here to talk about people, about dignity, about whether we as Californians will build a community where no one is left outside, no one is left untreated, and no one is left behind. I do not come before you as someone who studied this from textbooks. I come as a man who has walked through the fire of homelessness, addiction, and loss. I know what it feels like to be stereotyped, stigmatized, silenced, to be reduced to a statistic. But I also know the power of community, of care, of people who refuse to give up on me. That lived experience is not my weakness. It is my strength, my compass, the reason I will never stop fighting for those still out there tonight, for those that are still locked outside. Out of that experience, I've turned pain into purpose. I founded and chaired the Lived Experience Advisory Directive. I secured the first Lived Experience seat on the board of the directors at the Homeless Coalition for monitoring in Sacramento County. I co-chair monitoring evaluations with the county and city leaders to hold our systems accountable. I serve on the Bring California Home Coordination Committee, Corporation for Supportive Housing and State Policy Advisory Committee. I've helped draft HHAP language. I fight for ongoing funding. And I'm proud to be the first community health worker that was contracted with Medi-Cal in Sacramento County. I don't share these roles to glorify myself. I share them to testify to what is possible when lived experience is welcome to the table. California voters passed Prop 1. The beauty is that it brought us all together, right? The question now is simple. What are we hoping to achieve? What will our return on investment look like in human terms? For me, ROI isn't a spreadsheet. It's a street with fewer tents, fewer funerals, shorter waits for care, and more keys in hands. It's dignity you can feel. And with that lens, let me say clearly, housing first is not just a slogan, okay? It is evidence-based, data-driven path that ends homelessness. Here in California, we have not yet implemented housing first the way it was intended. This moment and this new structuring gives us the chance to change that. Not only to expand housing, but to develop the wraparound services that make housing first work. And at the heart of these services must be peer supports. People with lived experience walking alongside of it, building trust, breaking stigma, proving that recovery and stability are possible. There is a false narrative in our state that people experiencing homelessness don't want housing, and they would rather be outside. That is simply not true. For the past 3 years, I did full-time outreach in Monterey and Sacramento County. I built relationships with hundreds of our unhoused neighbors, if not most of the unhoused neighbors in our community out there. And I can honestly tell you, I maybe met one person who said they didn't want a roof over their head. Meanwhile, in our COC alone, nearly 5,000 people wait in coordinated entry for housing, while fewer than 100 units open each year. Our system has become one where someone must lose housing before someone else can be placed. That is not a failure of desire, that is a failure of supply. And to that, when rent outpaces wages like never before, you get to see the big picture. We need to build more housing, plain and simple, and we need peer-powered behavioral health care that helps people keep it. I think Dr. Martin Luther King said, of all the forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhumane. And I would add, to be without care and without a home is not just an inequality, it is a moral emergency. So let us not squander this moment. Let us not fall back into silos, myths, and scarcity thinking. Let us rise to the occasion. Counties and state, providers, peers, policy leaders, people with lived experience, walking together, building together, believing together. Carry these 3 lines with you, like affirmations we can live by. Housing is healthcare. Care without keys is a hallway. We choose doors. Say it with me. Keys, not cots.
Keys, not cuts.
Again, no exits to the street.
No exits to the streets.
All right, good. The arc of the crisis may be long, but with courage, compassion, and commitment, we can bend it towards justice. Housing and behavioral health are not privileges. They are human rights. With unity, we can build a California where every person has not just a place to survive, but a place to thrive. Keep loving, keep shining, everybody. Thank you.